along for the ride.
Welcome to the Solar Coaster, the wild ride through the solar industry told by the people living it every day. My name is Anna Covert.
And my name is Alex Herrera.
All right, Alex, I want to start with a headline that caught my eye this week, especially because it's happening in your backyard. Salt River Project says it's planning a temporary electricity price cut this summer for more than 1 million customers. At first glance, that sounds like good news, right?
Yeah, when you hear price cut and electricity in the same sentence, people get excited, especially in Arizona where summer power bills can get painful. But once you dig into it, the story becomes a lot less dramatic.
Right, because the reduction is about 3% during the summer months, which works out to roughly $5 or $6 off the average monthly bill. SRP proposes 3% summer electric. So technically, it's a rate cut, but we're not exactly talking about a revolution in energy pricing.
Exactly. It's one of those things where the headline makes it sound like electricity suddenly got cheaper. But in reality, this is more of a temporary adjustment tied to fuel and power purchasing costs. It's not like the long-term price of electricity just dropped.
And it also comes after utilities have been increasing rates in recent years.
Right. So if you zoom out a little, the long-term trend for electricity pricing is still up, which is part of why people are paying so much attention to stories like this.
But the timing here is also interesting. Because this is happening at the same time, another Arizona utility, APS, is proposing something very different. They're talking about a 14% rate increase later this year.
Yeah, and that's where things get spicy. Because the Arizona Attorney General stepped in and basically said, hold on, maybe utilities don't need a 14% increase. Maybe something closer to 3% would make more sense. So suddenly, electricity pricing turns into a political debate.
Which honestly, it often does. Energy is one of those industries where economics, infrastructure, and politics all collide.
Oh, 100%. People think electricity pricing is just math. It's not. It's math, regulation, public policy, and sometimes elections. And speaking of elections, SRP actually has board elections coming up this spring.
Which makes the timing of a summer rate cut announcement interesting.
Exactly. Now, to be fair, utilities do make these adjustments based on fuel costs and market conditions. But when a price reduction announcement happens right before an election, people are naturally going to notice that.
Energy policy has always been one of those areas where optics matter.
Yeah, because electricity affects literally everyone. Everyone pays a power bill. So when rates move, up or down, it becomes a public conversation very quickly.
And that conversation almost always circles back to the same question. How much control do people actually have over their energy costs?
Exactly. And that's where solar enters the picture. Because every time electricity pricing becomes unpredictable, whether it's increases, temporary decreases, political debates, homeowners start asking questions.
Like, do I have another option?
Exactly. They start asking, is there a way to stabilize my energy costs? And solar gives people one way to do that. When someone installs solar, they're essentially producing a portion of their own electricity for the next 20 or 25 years. So while utilities might adjust prices based on fuel costs, infrastructure spending, or regulatory decisions, solar customers have more predictability.
And Arizona is kind of the perfect place for that conversation. I mean, you guys have sun basically all year.
Yeah, Arizona is one of the best solar markets in the world. We've got sunshine, population growth, and increasing energy demand, which means the energy conversation here isn't going away anytime soon.
And when electricity pricing becomes a headline story, it tends to accelerate that conversation.
It does, because people start looking at their bills and asking questions. And once someone starts asking questions about their electricity bill, they start exploring alternatives. That's usually when they call a solar company.
So ironically, even a story about a temporary price cut can still spark interest in solar.
Exactly. Because it reminds people that electricity pricing is constantly changing. And most homeowners don't love uncertainty when it comes to something they pay every month.
Which brings us to the bigger picture. Arizona is growing fast, electricity demand is growing, and the energy system is evolving. So, conversations like this about pricing, utilities, and energy independence are only going to become more common.
Yeah, and I think the key takeaway is this. The headline might say rate cut, but the real story is about how electricity pricing works and how dynamic the system really is.
And the more people understand that system, the more they start thinking about their options. Exactly. And that's when the solar conversation really begins. All right, Alex, great breakdown. We'll definitely keep watching how this unfolds in Arizona. Because anytime electricity pricing becomes front page news, the ripple effects tend to spread across the entire energy industry. That's all the time we have today. Hope to see you again on the Solar Coaster. Until then, I'm Anna Covert.
And I'm Alex Herrera. See you next week.
Hop on a solar coaster, come along for the ride.
This episode of the Solar Coaster is narrated using AI-generated technology, representing Anna Covert and Alex Herrera. The material presented is aggregated from publicly available solar industry news sources. All commentary reflects reported industry developments and does not constitute personal opinions, investment advice, or endorsements by the hosts or
Solar
producers.
Coaster is proudly sponsored by Sun Energy Today, redefining what solar means for business and infrastructure. We engineer and deliver large-scale clean energy solutions, from megawatt solar farms to advanced graphene storage, designed for resilience, performance, and measurable return. Sun Energy Today, built to power what's next. Learn more at sunenergytoday.com.